First, let's introduce about the West. Liberalism and gender equality, human rights. Liberalism emphasizes individual rights, legal equality, and freedom of choice. It views individuals as autonomous agents entitled to equal treatment, regardless of gender. Gender equality, from a liberal perspective, is achieved through non-discriminatory laws that guarantee equal access to education, employment, and political participation. Let's understand liberalism's role in gender equality through the case study. Liberalism has contributed significantly to gender equality through the legal reforms. It supported women's suffrage, equal employment opportunities, and the anti-discrimination laws. These measures promoted women's participation in public life and strengthened the protection of women's human rights within the modern legal system. Critics of liberalism. Despite its achievement, liberalism is criticized for focusing mainly on formal equality. It often overlooks structural inequalities such as unpaid care work and gendered labor marks. Legal equality alone may not ensure substantive equality, as the social and economic constraints continue to shape individual choices.
Now, I want to talk about gender issues from the views of Marxism and critical theory. In Marxist eyes, gender equality is never an isolated moral problem. It is deeply rooted in the economic structure and class system of capitalism. Let's first look at social division of labor. Under capitalist mode of production, women are often stuck in unpaid household reproductive labor, having babies, raising children, and taking care of family members. This work supports the steady supply of labor. They regard it as women's natural duty, but get no economic pay or social recognition. In the paid social production field, women are often pushed into low-paying jobs with little security. They get less pay for the same work. This is essentially capital's double exploitation of women's labor. Modern feminist Marxism has made this idea clearer. It says that gender oppression and class oppression go hand in hand. Capitalists use patriarchal tradition to cut women's wage, so they can spend less on productions. In return, patriarchal system use capitalist economic power to keep the strict labor rule. Men work outside, women take care of home. This raises two key questions. First, are gender oppression and economic system close connected? The answer is clear. Capitalism and part culture work together, and this is a big reason for gender equality. Second, can law alone make gender fair? The answer is no. Equal rules in law cannot stop the unfair treatment caused by capital's wish for profit. They also cannot change that people ignore the value of unpaid household work. Marxism and critical theory tell us to get real gender equality, we need more than legal protection. We also need to face the big conflicts in the economic structure, raising the value of labor, and break the double chains of class and gender.
Everyone, today I want to talk about how feminist ideas have changed how we think about human rights. This isn't just about women's issues, it's about fairness for everyone. It has many different voices. Some feminists want equal opportunities in jobs and schools. Others think we need to change unfair systems that favor men. All agree that women should have the same power and choices as men. It's talked about all people, but really it mostly meant men. Women's needs like control over their own bodies or safety at home were ignored. The idea of neutral rights often helped keep things unfair. So, is neutral human rights really fair? No. When rules ignore women's lives, they aren't fair. For example, women often face violence at home or get paid less for the same work. These problems weren't seen as human rights issues before. Feminism expanded human rights to include women's real lives. It pushed for safety from violence, equal pay, and control over reproduction. It also taught us that a woman's experience depends on her race, class, and other identities. We need to see how these things work together. Feminism helps us think differently about justice. Rights aren't just words on paper, they're about real lives. We need to fix systems that hold women back and respect everyone's differences. In short, feminist philosophy makes human rights better for everyone. It shows us that equality means seeing all people's needs. This helps build a fairer world for everyone.
Confucianism is often criticized for promoting male superiority and suppressing women's rights. However, its core conceptions of benevolence, property, and the homology of family and state actually contain respect for women. The root cause of gender inequality doesn't lie in Confucianism itself, but in the patriarchal interpretation of the rural system which restricts women's public participation and leads to an imbalance in family care responsibilities. New Confucianism holds that benevolence represents unusual human rights care. Propriety is about consultation and respect rather than hierarchy, and the homology of family and state aims to protect the rights of vulnerable groups within the family. It is evident that Confucian through doesn't necessarily suppress women's rights. Traditional values, when interpreted in a modern context, can promote gender equality. The key lies in how Confucianism is interpreted.
Today, let us explore the essence of Taoist philosophy on gender equality. At its core is the principle that Tao follows nature, meaning that all things flourish according to their own inherent essence, without artificial transitions. Yin and Yang are seen as interdependent and field focus, with neither considered superior to the other. This way of thinking challenges the rigid male-female binary and acknowledges diverse gender expression beyond face labels. From a Taoist perspective, gender should be understood as a natural expression of one's true self. Taoist thought also opposes the creation found in modern gender norms. It rejects artificial labeling and standardization, while emphasizing respect for each individual's unique gender traits. In addition, Taoism strongly upholds body autonomy and personal freedom. The body is viewed as a vessel of one's natural essence, and honoring its cross-gender minorities' right to live authentically, free from prejudice and discrimination. Most importantly, Taoism condemns oppression, as imposing a single standard on diversity goes against nature itself. Its vision of true equality lies in allowing everyone to fulfill their own true nature, grounding human rights in respect for natural diversity.
First, let's talk about the East. Taoist thought and body autonomy, human rights. The core proposition of Taoism is Tao follows nature, meaning all things develop according to their inherent nature, opposing artificial intervention and duration. Yin and Yang are not binary opposites, but interdependent, transformable, and symbiotic, dynamic, balanced entities. In contrast, yang and vice versa, with the neighbor being superior to the other. Gender binary opposition divides gender into fixed categories of male or female, ignoring diverse and fluid gender forms. From the perspective of yin-yang thinking, gender is like yin and yang with intermediate transitional forms. Individual gender expression should follow one's nature rather than being constrained by binary frameworks. Second, rethinking gender norms. Carson. Gender norms imposed by modern society are the simple and operation of individual nature. Thus, thought of fallen nature objects such artificial discipline, advocating respect for individual unique gender choice and expressions, and rejecting the labeling and standardization of gender. Third, support for freedom or anti-oppression. Body autonomy. The body is the creator of individual nature. Following the body's natural needs and perceptions is the practice of the following nature, opposing the deprivation of body autonomy by others. Individual freedom. The freedom pursued by thought is a state where individuals exist in accordance with their nature, unconstrained by social norms and prejudice, with which provides an ideologic basis for gender minorities to steer for rights. Opposing operation, any act of imposing a monastic standard on diverse individuals is artificial agent nature. Thus sought citizens such operation and advocates that all things fail for their own nature.